Hey friends, thank you for joining the Adventure Sports Podcast today. I have the big announcement that I've been hinting about for many weeks now. You may recall that I've been saying this is an opportunity for the Adventure Sports Podcast family to make a very real and significant difference in the world. Let me explain a little bit. Back in 1993, yeah, I know, many of you weren't born yet. Back in 1993, I went to Africa. A buddy and I took on second jobs, we saved our pennies, we bought airplane tickets, and we went to Kenya. And while we were there, we built a school. And we met the most amazing people and saw the most amazing landscapes. I fell in love with the land, the people, and even the wildlife. Africa is a magical, wonderful place. And if you ever get the opportunity or make the opportunity, no matter how hard it is, to get there, get off the beaten path and see what the real Africa is about, man, I highly, highly recommend it. One way that we got off the beaten path is we found a man who had a matatu, which was essentially a van that he could use as a taxi cab, and he agreed to drive us around for 5 weeks while we were there. His name was Joseph Kamani, ended up being a dear friend. What was wonderful about it is that his English was very good. Of course, he also spoke Kikuyu and he spoke Swahili. So not only did he drive us around in his van, but he interpreted for us. We were working on building a school, but in addition to that, we toured all over Kenya. We went as far northwest as Homa Bay on Lake Victoria. We went as far southeast as Mombasa and Diani Beach, where we got to see the Indian Ocean. And we went as far south as Masai Mara and got to see some of the wildlife there. But while we were there on the southern border of Kenya, I got to see, towering off in the distance over the plains, the Serengeti of Tanzania, Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is one of the 7 summits, and it's the highest peak, of course, on the African continent. And I looked at it, and it wasn't in the cards for me to go further south, but I said, someday I'll be back. Someday I want to climb you. But we met such amazing, delightful people, and I remember we were near Kisi, and an acquaintance of ours there had invited a huge group of people to come and visit with us, and there was actually a line going out the hut and across the field of people that wanted to come to us, and they were asking us for things. They were asking for things that we generally couldn't provide, and it was kind of an awkward situation, to be candid, but a man walked in, and he had 2 young boys with him, and he held his sons in his arms with tears rolling down his face. And he pleaded with us to take his sons with us back to America because he just felt like there wasn't any opportunity for them there. It was heartbreaking to have to say no, that we couldn't, that we didn't have a way to do that, but it planted a seed in my heart. There were many children all over Kenya who needed assistance in so many different ways. And since then, often matters have gotten worse. The AIDS epidemic ended up killing both parents of many, many families, and many children found themselves living on the streets alone. Also, the conflicts in Sudan drove many children south into Kenya and into other countries because the children were being conscripted into the armies where they were forced to commit atrocities in war. And so they escaped to other countries alone, orphaned by war. You know, every child living on the streets, starving, struggling, every child has his or her own story to tell. They all have their reason, they all have their background, but it doesn't change the fact of where they are and what they need. And I recently found out about an organization that decided to do something about this in a big way. And the organization is called We See Hope. It is a humanitarian organization originally out of the UK, but now they're also in the United States. And what they have done for many years now is raise money and go work with the local people in various African countries. And this organization finds these kids living on the streets, rescues them, they clothe them, they feed them, they educate them, and they give them entrepreneurial skills that they can use to start companies and have real jobs. And believe it or not, this organization, We See Hope, has already worked with over 800,000 people in Africa. It's an amazing thing that they've done, rescuing children off the streets. And when I heard this story, I thought back to that father with tears rolling down his face. You could tell he loved his sons, but he also just didn't feel like he had a way to raise them where he was. That father that begged us to take his sons back with us, which was something we couldn't do. But We See Hope is doing something better. We See Hope is finding these kids and giving them a future. Now, the founder of We See Hope is Phil Wall, and I have hiked with Phil, and he's the real thing. I'm telling you, this man is genuine. His heart is as big as you can imagine, and his love for these children all across Africa is simply amazing. And he's also a big adventurer in his own right. I mean, he did an expedition to the North Pole, among other things. And I'm going to have Phil on the Adventure Sports Podcast in the near future. And we're going to talk about all of his various adventures, but we're also going to talk about what he is doing with We See Hope in Africa. So, I've been saying the Adventure Sports Podcast family has an opportunity to make a real significant difference in the world, and this is how. A group of men have decided to climb Kilimanjaro, and they're calling this Climbing for Change 2026. And they're each raising approximately $1 per foot of elevation. And Kilimanjaro is, it's 19,300 some odd feet, but we're calling it 20,000. So each and every person going on this hike is raising $20,000. And the goal is for 15 of us to reach the summit, which would raise $300,000 for We See Hope. And the goal is to reach more than 100,000 youth that are struggling to get by in 5 different African countries so that they have a chance at a healthy and positive outcome. I don't think I need to tell you the horror stories of what happens to children that are living on the streets in the cities around Africa. Children without parents, children without protection. I don't think I need to go there. But to know that Phil and We See Hope is rescuing these kids, mind-blowing to me what they've accomplished and what they hope to continue to accomplish. So the big announcement is that after over 30 years have passed since I first saw Kilimanjaro and decided to climb it and said, I'll be back, I am going on this expedition, Climbing for Change 2026, and yes, I'm raising $20,000 for the children in Africa. Now, $20,000, it's a big number to me, but it's also not that big of a number. Why should we stop at 20? Why not 40? Why not 50? Why not 60? Here's the deal. There are thousands and thousands of us that are in the Adventure Sports Podcast family. And I constantly say, chase your dreams, chase your adventures, but do it in a way that makes a positive difference for the world. That's what this is about. Now, I'm not going to sit here and ask you to give money to me. That's not what this is about. Matter of fact, everyone that's going to Kilimanjaro on this climb is paying their own way. And all the money that's donated, 100% of it, goes to We See Hope to help the kids. So this is about people that have decided to raise $20,000 each by climbing Kilimanjaro to draw attention to We See Hope. And I know that there are people out there in the audience who have a heart for this, and they've been looking for the right opportunity. I'm not going to sit here and ask you for money, but I am going to say if you've been looking for a way to make a positive difference in the world, this is one way that you can do it. I'm going to put the link in the show notes so that you can click it and do what your heart guides you to do. But the link, in case you're listening and you can't get to the show notes right now, is charity.pledgeit.org/climbingforchange. Let me say that again. charity.pledgeit.org/climbingforchange. When you get to the website, if you scroll down to the bottom, there will be a list of climbers that are going on the trip, and my name should be there too, and you can just click on Kurt Linville, Adventure Sports Podcast, And that way, the Adventure Sports Podcast family gets the credit for this. And of course, it's a tax-deductible donation for you or for your company, however you decide to do that. Like I said, spend some time thinking about this. If you want to be a part of the Adventure Sports Podcast family who is making this difference in the world, then I'm going to say thank you in advance. The trip is actually mid-January of 2026, so it's only a couple of months out now. Time is very, very limited, and I think it would just be so amazing if the Adventure Sports Podcast family raised not only $20,000, but why not $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 to make a difference for these kids in Africa. We See Hope is doing an amazing thing there, helping these children. And I am so pleased that I can be a part of it. So once again, the URL, the link is charity.pledgeit.org/climbingforchange. That will be in the show notes. That's the big announcement. I'm going to Kilimanjaro after 30 years of dreaming about it. But more importantly, I'm doing it to help these kids in Africa that I met there when I was there over 30 years ago. There's one more aspect of this that I think is kind of interesting. I said over 30 years ago, there are no spring chickens going on this trip. The men that are going to climb Kilimanjaro are, well, hovering around 60 and above. The youngest going on the trip is, I believe, 45. The oldest is in his early 70s. Most of the crew are in their late 50s, 60s. So it's never too late to go chase your adventure. And it's never too late to make a big difference for the world. I'm going to take a recorder with me, so of course I can interview all these guys as we climb and give you a bit of a play-by-play on what it's like to actually be there climbing Kilimanjaro, and I'll make an episode out of that, so I can in effect take you with me on the climb, and you'll get to know the gentlemen who are doing this climb. And as you may have guessed, we all have our own unique set of challenges, and when you get to be in your 60s, it's not as easy as it was in your 20s. So, for instance, I have a injured foot that I've been going to a physical therapist for the last few months, trying to get the foot strong enough to actually make it up the mountain. And so I think there's going to be a lot of guys helping guys get there one way or another. There's going to be a little bit of, I'll just call it old guy drama. But that's all a part of it. These are men who decided, some of them against the odds, to go for it and try to make a difference. If you would like to make a difference too, then please click on the link in the show notes and follow your heart. Thanks.